Welcome back to Lost in Theaters, the podcast where we talk about movies that have slipped through the cracks of pop culture. My name is Rachel, and I'm here with my dear beloved sister.
I'm Ruth.
I was wondering
just still not my
if
name.
you should start just saying, like last time you were like, snap, crackle, pop.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, triplets. I was wondering if we should just start giving you names. Or if we should just go with you.
Is this a democracy? Can I vote?
Yeah.
I vote no.
Okay. Ursula it is.
No! Wait, we have a guest.
That's right, we have a guest. It's a very special guest. We're all very excited. We're here with our dear beloved mother.
Hello.
Hi, Mom.
Nicole is her name, but we call her Mom.
Wait, you? Okay.
Mom. I think of birds sometimes.
It's sometimes like that.
Cheap. What a
My
pretty
little
bird.
birds.
Yeah, or Mumsy, Mother Dearest.
Matka.
Matka. Yes, it's all very exciting.
Yes.
And this movie is one that my mother we've been trying to watch together for some time. And so it was the perfect opportunity, and we get to talk about it this week.
Yay.
Is everyone ready? Ruth, have you seen this movie?
No.
But she knows what it is because it's been floating in the air for years now.
On our shelves.
That's right.
And I would,
Okay,
talk about it a little bit.
I might have seen it.
I think you did, but you were very young.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah. It was kind of when we went through the Poirot stage, and I was like, you guys watch Poirot.
Yeah.
And I, some of these older movies.
The Sherlock Holmes movies, short TV show, the old one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were those?
Greatness, that's what they were.
Yeah.
But this week's movie, also a party game.
What?
Charade.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's right. Came out in 1963, starring Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant. And I looked it up, and this is after actually a lot of Audrey movies. Funny Face has happened already. A Roman Holiday has happened. I was just looking at the list and cannot get to it right now. But she's got My Fair Lady's in the future, though.
Yes.
So that's in like 65 or something. But she's already well known.
And Sabrina,
yes, that's the other one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it possible for this to count as a movie that slipped through the cracks if Audrey Hepburn is in it?
Now this is why we discussed this, Mother.
Yes, we did.
Comments?
Yes. Well, it's such a quirky movie, I think, and kind of an offbeat. I think if you are an Audrey Hepburn fan, you will have obviously know about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would have ever gotten to watch it, but but it's not one of her real famous ones.
Not quite like Breakfast at Tiffany's, where that picture of her with the, the
Yeah,
long
the
cigarette
iconic,
thing is everyone's ever
the little
seen.
black dress.
Right, yeah.
Those sunglasses. Yeah, no, this is not that.
Well,
there are, she does don that certain
iconic looks.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Audrey Hepburn look, Yes. Yeah, very classy.
Chanel and, I just can't remember. Not Yves Saint Laurent. I can't remember what the other one is, but she wears these clothes that are iconic, I guess, for that
time. Yeah,
for that time.
For sure. And Cary Grant.
Oh, Cary Grant.
I mean Carrie Fisher.
Oh, nope.
Very different.
Yeah.
And he's aged here, but was he always aged?
This is a man we're talking
about?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he always aged? Not aged. He's on the...
Was he born at a young age?
No, I don't think so. But he always had that look of, the tall, dark, handsome look about him.
Yeah.
And so even when he was young, he looked tall, dark, and handsome. And as he got older, more so,
Still.
just grew into it even
darker
more.
and darker, and that's how we got Enderman.
So scary.
No, I love them. They're so cute.
But I like these kind of movies where there are these famous actors, and actresses, but they do just these one-off kind of shows that you think, yeah, this did not make their career. But I'm
You're right. It's a little too quirky to have done that. Yeah.
Yes. So
But they're such good actors.
They are.
So it makes it such a good movie.
Yes.
Like, they got quality people to do the...
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's still in that, they filmed it. There is music, of course, and whatnot.
We will talk about the music.
Yes.
I have things to say.
Yes. But it's quiet enough, and the expressions and whatnot, you still have to pay attention to really catch the nuances of...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, this is one of the questions we ask, right, is what sort of mood do you have to be in to watch this movie? Who is this movie for?
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely an oldie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for starters, you gotta be in the mood to watch an oldie.
An oldie and a little bit quirky.
Yeah.
What do you mean, quirky?
So there is kind of there's smooth parts, where
It's not as smooth as Casablanca.
No.
I will say this. So Casablanca, everything is like slick. The plot flows into one.
And
All the
it's still
dialogue.
black and white.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's true. Like Casablanca's black and white, but this is in color.
Mm-hmm.
But the dialogue, it's sort of like Gilmore Girls in this in Charade, where the dialogue is quick and witty,
Yes.
and tit for tat,
Yes.
and because of that, it doesn't. You could almost be like, why did you say that? Because you didn't catch what what prompted it.
Yes.
You're not thinking of what they're thinking.
Yes.
But it does make sense, right? When you think how they're thinking. But if you're not doing that, you're sort of like, oh, that's kind of a funny thing to say.
I think it's a movie where to really enjoy it, you do need to just sit and watch it and be engulfed in it and enjoy their facial expressions and their the acting. It's really, really good. But it's the 60s, beginning of the 60s, so they've started introducing these I don't know, almost a psychedelic kind of look to it, like the colorings and the some of the music. Like, it keeps you on your toes enough so that I think that you can't just be
you can't be doing something else while watching it. You have to be
you do need to pay attention to really enjoy
What's this about the music?
Oh yeah. So there was one scene that made me realize the music. I'm not thinking of that. There was a scene that...
There's a couple scenes, though.
Oh my gosh.
Where the music, all of a sudden,
you start noticing
it's a little bit jarring.
This is important to know for people who want to watch this movie. I watched it by myself initially, but then I knew my mother loved the movie so much that halfway through I caved and had to watch it with my mother because it just wasn't as fun without it's sort of it's definitely something watching with friends would be just so fun. It's so memeable.
That's good to know.
It's so memeable. Actually, it could, if it came out today, there would be so many memes just because of the way one-liners, facial expressions, conversations that happen, and you could say one word and get so much information.
And they're such good actors that even the pauses that happen sometimes after somebody says something and there's a look between them or on the one person's face, and it's funny, and they just they roll with it. Like, there's such I love the acting in it.
It's very
and
good.
the one-liners, right? And so that's why it's fun to watch it with somebody, so that you have these little inside jokes.
Definitely. So the music, okay. It's so funny. So do you remember me talking about Bug and how the music in Bug, it was almost non-existent until the bugs did things? is weird because...
So you're traumatized by music?
Well, I'm very... Exactly. You start... You're like, I got it! I got it to the box! You can listen to that episode. We've done that one.
Yeah.
Feel free to go through the archives and find it.
That
It's
was an experience.
a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
This one, it wasn't like that with the... Certain things had tones, like that when you heard a sound, you thought of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Although it
called
did
a leitmotif.
it had some of that though.
a little bit. But the one scene that I'm thinking, at first I thought it was doing the classic old movie thing where it wasn't playing music.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, it's during that time. That makes sense,
mhm.
not playing music. And then it started playing music, and it was such long, drawn-out music, and I thought, that's really weird for this sort of scene, because the scene was very fast-paced, and I thought, this is very strange. And then suddenly, at the climax of the scene, it starts, like, playing the music that suits the scene, and it just did such weird things to your, like, adrenaline levels, and you're paying attention to the scene, and it was very clever with how it, because you almost... At that scene, I was put off at first by the music, and I thought, this is odd.
This isn't right.
And then it cued in, and
nice.
and the scene was long, and so at first you would think you would get bored, but then because of the music, it kept you in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it knows what it's doing.
It was clever.
Yeah. All right, we've talked around the plot. Do you think people who want no spoilers have enough, or do we have any little last things to say for people?
Well, and also just, it's quite a mild movie.
The Chaucer scale, we haven't even visited it.
It's not, it's dark. It has a certain darkness to it as far as...
You're right.
So for young kids, I don't know, a certain age, I would be hesitant about it.
Yeah.
But those scenes don't last long. They aren't, gory or anything like that.
True.
But there are some intense involved,
things that could. And
heaven forbid your child learn that things die.
Right.
Or is this different?
Think more like fourth Harry Potter, not like people not in tone. Fourth Harry Potter is dark, right, and very scary.
What
and
happens
weird.
in the fourth one?
That's the spoilers. It's the one where Voldemort comes back.
Yes.
And the Triwizard Tournament and
Do not speak his name.
Oh, Triwizard. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
I'm like, he's always coming back.
Right? Triwizard and that whole thing. And where there's a definite tone switch between 3 and 4,
Yeah.
It definitely tends more toward 4 as far as when, your my 8-year-old can read 3, no problem. And then you're like, my 8-year-old's reading book 4. That's probably fine. They'll probably be fine.
Yeah.
We'll read it together.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
You just start thinking, it's kind of dark.
And, and even, for a young people watching it, I don't know if they would catch the one-liners and the...
you would appreciate it so much when you get older, too. Yeah, you'd come back to it if you watched it when you were young and think, that's so funny.
Is this an action movie?
It's
I wouldn't say
considered
so.
a mystery.
Okay.
I think they even put thriller as part of it.
Yeah, they do. It's mystery thriller type.
Yeah.
Tame thriller, more mystery.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And similar to A Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah.
Ooh.
In the tone of them, even some of the music.
Actually, that's a really good parallel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I love
So
the
again,
Man from U.N.C.L.E.
A Man from U.N.C.L.E., a little bit quirky.
Mm-hmm.
It has that little bit of tone.
I still don't know what you mean by quirky.
It's like Man from Uncle quirky, where, Ilya calls him cowboy in Man from calls the American cowboy the whole time, right?
He's from the States.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think, cowboy? And then that whole dialogue they have about the number of steps, the Roman steps.
Yeah.
That would not occur in a normal movie.
So they have silly moments. You mean?
Yeah. But it's not that dialogue. We wouldn't call it silly. It's sort of you see the person's character
Yeah.
not in their, heroism and their greatness, but in, the same thing. When you look at my bookshelf, you have King Arthur right next to, Fortunately the Milk.
By Neil Gaiman.
By Neil Gaiman, right? You've got this sort of
Quirky.
quirky. You see
I
what's
get
there.
Yeah. A bit of an ADHD juxtaposition there.
You think
how
so?
how you jump from things to things.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've done research in this area.
No, I'm just like.
But
No,
this is
recently
just a
you
little
did.
bit of
No, I
learning.
have, but that's
Yeah.
not why I would say that.
I know.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Right. So I actually realized. So moving on to medium spoilers.
yes.
Here's the plot. Just so you guys know, we're 15
Yes.
minutes into the podcast.
Okay. All right, moving
Okay.
right along.
So medium spoilers. This is actually a genre film in recent days that this version is so Charade is such a classy version of this. It's turned into a raunchy genre. Okay.
Raunchy.
A raunchy genre.
What does that mean? What does raunchy mean? I mean, I know
like
what
dad would say racy,
racy.
which is I have never met anyone else
Yeah,
who's
me
ever
neither.
used that word.
I would never classify this one under raunchy.
Oh, I know. This is
Yeah.
This is such a classy film.
Right.
This is so, the mystery's great, but the plot
Yeah.
has been that ideas has been reused, and
Oh.
you're about to hear,
Yeah.
like, it has been turned, the genre of
Yeah.
movie, this kind of story has become a raunchy story, and
Okay.
the instance that I'm thinking of right now is a movie called The Spy Who Dumped Me.
Oh.
And then there's another one
Oh.
called My Boyfriend is a Secret Agent.
Okay.
And then there's another one. So the idea that you're in a relationship with someone, and then it turns out
Yeah.
that they work for a government
Right.
organization,
Yes.
which
Spy
turns, and then
movie.
you get sucked into the drama,
Yes.
and it's usually a girl, and they're like
Yeah.
on a Vespa in Italy, and they have
Like
to.
a man from Uncle.
Exactly, and they
Yeah.
have to, get this package to the UN before the
Mhm.
bomb explodes, and
Right.
there are people chasing them with guns,
Yeah.
and they're it's usually a comedy, and
Yeah.
comedies now tend to be more raunchy,
Okay.
more, more sexualized, more body humor,
Right.
higher on the Chaucer scale.
Yes.
Whereas this is more of like a 3 on the Chaucer
Oh,
scale.
That's too high.
You think so?
Yeah.
On the Chaucer scale.
Chaucer scale's pretty intense.
We're reading Chaucer at the moment, and it was very funny because, it was. There's a whole part at the beginning where he says, "If I told you anything other than what they actually said, I'd be lying to you, and you don't want me to lie to you, do you?"
Chaucer?
Like
Why
that.
are you doing this to
What
us,
a
man?
loophole, Chaucer!
Yeah.
What a loop. Anyways,
Yeah.
so people know this sort of film,
Yeah.
and so it's a great. So the idea is there's this woman, who I think this isn't
actually a great summary.
spoiler, right?
Mhm.
There's a woman whose husband dies, and she's confronted by the CIA, and they say, your husband was a wanted criminal, and we need to get what he stole. Where is it? And she says, I don't know.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? And it turns out other people also want this money,
Mm-hmm.
and so they go
Great.
to her, and it's like a whole, where's the money? I'm avoiding death.
Uh-huh.
Like that's
Yeah.
that's the movie, but classy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's a fun plot, right?
Yeah.
I did not think, it was so funny because, and it's called Charade, and what's so interesting is I don't know if they ever say the word charade.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And that's what's so
No.
weird
Yeah.
is you get the idea though, you're
Yeah.
acting,
Yes.
it's the
Yes.
spy world.
Yeah.
And I looked up, and the CIA was formed, I believe, in the 30s or 40s. And this has set in the 60s. And so nowadays when people say, oh, I'm part of the CIA, everybody knows, oh yeah, the CIA. But I was
Yeah.
wondering in the 60s how often the
No, and
CIA was used as like, look at
Yeah.
my credentials, I'm part
card.
of the CIA,
Mhm.
And I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. And even in the movie, when she has no idea. I mean, she knows what the CIA is, sort of, but not really.
Okay.
And So,
Wow.
there's just this discovery of
That has
CIA.
changed.
Exactly.
Dang.
Everybody knows the CIA now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the sort of, medium spoilers there.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, you can go watch it if you want to. It's a fun ride.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, are we ready?
Mm-hmm. Full spoiler.
That's my new sound effect
I
for
like
the
it.
transitioning.
Mouth chimes.
We're into the full spoilers now, folks. Okay.
She just pounded her sternum.
Yeah.
Like pretty aggressively.
Beat my chest.
Oh,
It's a
be
great
ready,
sound.
people.
Okay. Opening scene. It pans a idyllic field and think, it's so lovely.
Mhm.
Train,
train
in the
is coming.
countryside. And
Mhm.
you're like, train? So interesting.
Mm.
Train runs
So-
by. Dead body falls
Falls
out
out.
of train.
Oh, okay.
Bo, 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 bo.
It's very
And he's
interesting.
in his pajamas.
And dead body, and you think, what? That's crazy.
I have a question.
Mhm.
What feeling does that evoke in the audience? Like, is this funny or is
No.
this like, holy cow, that's horrifying?
No, it's more.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause
more.
when I hear that scenario, I immediately think like World War II Holocaust.
Oh no! It's a
Oh.
normal train. Think
So
Harry Potter.
that's what I want to
train.
clarify.
Harry
Har-
Potter train.
Agatha Christie.
Yeah, Agatha Christie train.
Okay,
When you see it, you're
okay.
like train, fun adventure train,
Mhm.
and somebody like Man Who Was Thursday train.
Yeah.
You remember that train?
Chesterton?
Yeah, you remember the train in Man Who Was
I
Thursday?
do not remember a chain.
There's a random field battle. Mom and Dad were reading this out loud once, and I was paying attention and was just very weirded out by the whole situation. Red Ba-
Excuse me, I have to go retrieve a cat.
That's true. The cat is
She's
distressed.
joined us.
Yes.
But yes, so this train, person falls out of
Mhm.
train. It doesn't. Yeah, it's not scary at all. You more wonder what's going on.
Yeah.
It's a really good hook for
Yeah.
what's gonna happen next. Then you pan to another idyllic
To
scene.
the Alps.
To the Alps. There's people
Snow,
skiing, and I've
yes.
never thought. I think I could ski before because
Uh-huh.
usually they go at such high speeds and they but these
Yeah.
were just such happy skiers
Yes.
and I just
Leisure.
leisure skiing.
skiing.
It was very content, and you come and you see in a resort
Yes.
a woman sitting at a table,
Yes.
and you think, oh, what a fashionable woman.
Yes. It's quirky again. A quirky outfit. It's a 60s kind of look.
I was wondering if it was a
Yes.
quirky outfit.
Yeah.
Why do you say it's quirky?
So the hat she's wearing even, and then she's got her big
Big
iconic
glasses.
sunglasses.
Mhm.
She's very sleek looking.
Mhm.
I mean, it's Audrey, so I think anything she wears, she looks very sleek in it.
Like
but,
a selkie.
yes,
Selkie.
but it's a weird look. Like no one looks like her, like that outfit that she's wearing. None of the other skiers
It's
are really
true.
wearing that.
Nobody-
So
That's funny.
yeah.
Mhm.
But
What happens then, Mom?
so she's sitting there, eating her breakfast or
Yeah.
lunch or whatever, and then all of a sudden you see a gun and the music kind of changes and it's
Cool.
pointing.
Mhm.
You assume it's pointing at her.
Yeah,
And you're
it's
like,
really
oh my gosh, this is happening
Really
like, all these
fast,
people are
yeah.
dying right away.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then it's a water gun.
Oh!
And behind it is this little French boy.
Jean-Louis.
Oh my gosh.
Jean-Louis, and he sprays the water in her face. And she
Aw.
just sits there, and has this, calm, pursed look. And her one of the first one-liners is, "Don't tell me you didn't know it was loaded."
Yep, I remember thinking,
But-
what?
And then, the child's mother comes along, and they're friends.
Yes.
And she
Sylvie.
actually, Sylvie!
Yells for mom.
Mhm. Oh,
Your
and
child is a menace.
exactly. And she says, Sylvie, I'm getting a divorce.
Yes.
Oh.
All these.
It's very dramatic. I was
Whoa.
shocked. It's the 60s. I just didn't think people said that so willingly in the 60s.
It's the 60s. Like, I think it's, this new
Thing.
age kind of, yeah.
Mm.
women.
I know what I'll
women-
do today.
Yeah.
How about a divorce?
And, well,
Oh,
she says she
gosh.
doesn't want to.
She doesn't want
But
to.
she feels like he's
Aw.
hiding something from her, and she just can't stand it
That's
anymore.
not a basis for divorce.
I mean, it's been just so long, and she just
Yeah.
That feels
Yeah.
like a communication problem.
tell me about it. Wait till you hear about
Oh, okay.
You understand. This
Yes.
woman needs marriage counseling.
Yes.
But anyways,
Yes.
so the boy is returned. He's gone off, and they're
Mhm.
having this conversation, and the boy is returned by a man, and says, "Does this man belong to
This boy, this child,
yeah, does he
belong to anybody? Or?
And this man and the woman. What is her name? Audrey's name in this movie. It's a funny name. I remember.
Why do we have issues with the main characters'
Oh.
names? The last two, and now this is the third.
We've always had them, Ruth. I don't know. I can't remember.
Oh, so we know we remember
Audrey.
Jean-Louis,
Because she
and
says Jean-Louis.
Sylvie, and I can't remember either.
It's like.
Well, this man shows up.
Yes. Okay. They show up and they start flirting, and they've got a lovely little flirt scene of which dialogue I've recorded
With
little.
the Alps
You
behind
like
them.
that sort of thing?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
It's something that you don't.
Again, it was the 60s. I wasn't anticipating their witty flirtiness.
Yes.
It was very witty flirting.
Quite forthright.
Yes.
In her, like, yeah.
She was very, well, why don't we can take me out, and oh, but you've missed your chance now. That sort of thing.
Yes. And
You'll
then
have to try
he
again.
goes away.
Yeah.
And we don't expect to see him again.
Yeah.
That's and the next scene is another iconic scene in the taxi in France, and comes to her apartment.
She gets there.
Mm-hmm.
And my initial thought, oh my goodness, in my notes,
Yeah.
she gets back to Paris,
Yeah.
and the boy wants stamps.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
so interesting.
What?
Yeah.
No
I'm
comment yet.
completely lost.
Uh,
I
Yeah.
know, but that's
Yeah.
like a dialogue, a point. I was writing down details and whatever, and the boy wants stamps from her.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an interesting little thing. She goes in. She says, "Send me a letter so that he can." He said, "Send me a letter so we can get
Yeah.
the stamps right."
Yeah.
So she goes in, and the house
Is
totally empty.
the apartment?
Mhm.
Yeah. It's a grand apartment.
Doors upon doors. I recently
Large.
learned about Greek houses,
Oh.
like ancient Greek houses,
Mm-hmm.
and as opposed to Roman houses were all formed around a pool, where all
Yeah.
the doors went to the
Yeah.
pool
Oh,
area,
yeah.
but Greek houses were like a long hallway,
Mm.
and they had you would have to go through one room to get to another room,
Okay.
like all the way down.
Yeah.
And it's kind of
Oh,
like that
weird.
as a
Yes.
house, where it's a bunch of rooms
Yes.
all
And
attached,
she's opening up
door
all
after
the doors.
door, and there's
and
nothing
it's
left.
Empty.
Whoa.
It's all gone.
And I thought,
everything's stripped from
Has
the
she
walls.
been robbed?
Yeah,
I
I
was-
mean that's what you think.
It was crazy, and she runs to the empty house. Then she hears someone,
Mm-hmm.
and she goes, and it's an inspector.
Yeah, it's very
And she says,
He breaks the news to her.
"Charles Lambert is dead. Your husband." Her last name's Lambert.
Lambert.
Mrs. Lambert.
Mrs.
That's why
Lambert.
I can't remember her first name, because they always call her Mrs. Lambert.
Yes.
He was found in his pajamas. He was leaving France. Heads up, he was Swiss. He doesn't really, and then this is the part that you know something's weird. He was like, "Do you know any relatives?" "No."
Right.
"What does he do for a job?"
I don't know.
"What does he?" "I don't know." "Anything?" "I don't know." Every question
Yes,
about
I
him,
don't know.
"I don't know." And I just think,
How do
you were
not
married to
know?
this man.
Yes.
Didn't have a little conversation about, I don't know,
Anything?
anything. Apparently not.
Apparently not.
Apparently they, and yeah, it was crazy. And so then, he tells her.
Yes, and she goes to the police office.
Oh yeah, she's at
and-
the police office,
yes,
right?
and so she doesn't know anything, and
but
the
this is the
French
thing.
commissioner is just like,
baffled.
"What do you mean you don't know any?" Like he even
Uh-huh.
thinks like, "What is wrong with you?" kind of
Right.
thing. What is? And then he's like, he pulls out.
Oh well, not yet. First,
Oh.
he tells her that her husband sold all the contents of their house,
Yes.
all of them, for let's see.
Like,
But they found no money for like $1 million,
Right.
and they found no money.
yeah.
They don't know where the money is. And they found this letter to her.
Mm-hmm.
No,
In
not
his
very helpful
effects.
in
That
his
was
effects.
found on him.
There was a letter. There was
You know, toiletries.
This was toothpaste powder.
Toothpaste powder.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you know the taste of cocaine? If you were to taste it, like mint.
What?
It's obviously not cocaine.
No.
That's not where the money is.
Oh my gosh.
Because they're trying to figure out, well,
Where-
where is all this money? What
Yeah.
did he, where
Where's
is
the
this?
money?
Yeah, and they can't.
They
figure
can't
it
find
out.
it.
Oh, okay.
And then the policeman reveals, is this his passport, right? And she says yes.
Do you know
And
this
then-
man?
And then he holds up another passport.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And then
And then
another
another one.
passport.
There's 4.
There's 4.
Really?
And she
Yeah.
says, I didn't know.
Now we're more confused than ever before.
And then we see her back. She leaves the apartment. They apparently are done with questioning. And she
Mhm.
leaves the police station, and she's back at her empty apartment, smoking and looking
Yeah.
sad.
yeah,
And someone
There's-
shows up.
footsteps
Mm-hmm.
again, and
But who is it?
Creepy flirty guy.
Yeah,
Cary Grant.
Cary Grant.
Sorry.
That's the guy.
Enderman.
And
My
he read about it in the paper.
Yes.
Apparently, they were society. He read the society column.
Yes.
What?
And her
It's like
destitution.
reading the obits in the newspaper. That's just what you do
Yeah.
to see if you're in there or not.
And he says, "We'll find
have
you.
you been
We'll
up to?"
find you a place to stay. It'll
Yes,
be
you
fun."
can't stay here.
And so it's good, and he helps her out. But then next scene is the funeral.
Oh,
The room is totally empty except for her and Sylvie,
yeah.
and they're sitting
And this
there.
morose, empty church.
And the inspector's at the very back.
Yes.
And they're just sitting there.
No one will see me back here.
And
Yeah.
is he cutting his nails?
Well, there's you have to watch it because, that this quiet, and his head is down, and it's just,
Mhm.
and it looks like the ladies comment about it. Well, he's behaving himself. Guess he
Yes.
knows how to behave, and then they pan in, and his head is down, and he's clipping his nails.
Oh my gosh.
There's just these funny little things.
Yeah.
So then,
Right? So nobody's there, and then a man comes in,
Yeah,
aggressively
large.
sneezing.
no,
The sneezing man's first.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the man comes in
Oh.
aggressively sneezing, sneezes all over the body.
Oh my god.
And then goes to sit down.
Yeah.
What? So there's an open
He's just-
casket, and you're just like...
Yeah.
Then another man comes in,
Yeah.
and
The
this
cowboy.
guy,
Tex.
he's got a mirror, and he
Yeah.
puts it on his nose
To see if he's
he's
breathing.
breathing. And
And
I
then-
thought, and
Oh,
then
yeah, that's his
and
thing.
that was his thing, and then he goes, sits down, and you
What?
think,
Okay, nobody
Alright.
knows what's happening.
and then a third guy comes in,
very aggressively.
and
more
he's
so-
huge, and I didn't notice he has a detail, but we'll talk about that
Yeah.
later. And he comes in. Does he rip something off his collar?
Oh, it's a pin.
Ah,
It's like for a corsage, like if you were to put, people still put little flowers on your
yeah.
lapel or in your buttonhole, or
Mm.
so he has this pin in his coat,
Yeah.
stick pin.
Okay. And he like rips
Pulls
it off.
Uh-huh.
And does he
And
put it
then-
on the body?
He stabs the body. And the women were all of us, and even the people were watching, do not expect that at all.
Stabs
Stabs it into
So I
his
guess they just want to make
hand
sure.
that he's really dead.
What the heck
And
did
then
he do?
and he doesn't go sit down. He just walks
He just
right.
leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so then the embassy sends. Oh, the cut to later, and the embassy sends
the-
Mrs. Lambert a letter and says, "We want to come talk to you about your husband. It's very important." And she walks in, and turns out this is the CIA. Do you know what the CIA is? I don't really know them. We call them agents here.
Agents, yeah.
CIA agents.
My husband was a spy, she says, and
No, he wasn't an agent. Yeah, she says, "Oh, you were telling me my husband was an agent." No, your husband was wanted by the United States government.
Oh my gosh.
His name was Charles Voss. This picture was taken in 1944, they say. Do you recognize these people? And they were all at the funeral.
Yes.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 men.
3 men.
Plus her husband in this old picture when they were in the army.
They want his money, they say, because all of them, they were commissioned to go send money to the French underground during World War II. They had this like $250,000, $250,000, which in my mind, it was really weird because, I mean, nowadays we talk about, oh, they're going to steal all the money on the planet, $40 billion, and now $250,000 is enough for what you're about to hear about.
Yeah. It's enough to kill over.
Apparently. And they want it back. They stole it. The 4 of them apparently buried it instead of giving it to the underground.
Yes.
And
they're wanting to come back after the war.
Meanwhile, the CIA gave them the money, and they also want it back. And they're like, why? And you must have it, woman. And she says, no.
I don't have it.
And they say, you won't be safe until the money is in U.S. hands.
Mm-hmm.
And
that
then
seems suspect.
they let her go.
Yeah.
Poor woman. And then we see she's in the park and she's watching a Punch and Judy show. Do you know what a Punch and Judy show is?
Why?
Oh,
It's a puppet show.
Violent.
These
Such
violent
a strange
puppet shows.
thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So then she's joined in the park by her gentleman
Enderman.
friend. Yes, Ruth's calling him the Enderman, her gentleman friend.
Yes.
They're chatting and having a good time, and he says, "Come on, let's go get a drink somewhere." And then they go get a drink at this place, and this is the most awkward scene in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Like,
there's games and fun that they
gonna have
decide to
games.
do in order to meet people or something.
What?
Pass the orange is this game they're playing.
Yeah.
You hold the orange under your chin, and you cannot use your hands to pass the orange
To the next person, which is of the opposite sex.
It's a disaster.
And the person that you don't know, basically.
It's so awful to watch.
Weird and funny. And
curled up and died inside. I just thought, oh my goodness.
Thank God it's not me there.
Yeah. It's so awkward.
It is.
Can you imagine? You're like rubbing your face near their face.
Maybe it's a French thing.
I don't.
No, probably not.
It's just, I wrote in my notes, awkward. Just so
It's a very
awkward.
scene.
Oh my goodness.
But don't you find the scenes in this, like, they are kind of jarring like that?
Yeah.
There is some, and the unexpected.
Yeah.
There's an unexpectedness in the scenes that...
Well, Mrs. Lambert gets the orange, and then she goes to give it to the next guy, and it's one of the bad guys. Yeah. Oh, no! And he tries to take that money, and she says, no! Lambert. And she kicks him or something, and runs away, and she says, I'm sorry, I have to go. And then she goes, hides in the phone booth, and then the big American Texan guy showed up, and he threatens her. And this was the thing. Threatens her with matches. Yeah. Foremost thought, why did you not just blow out the matches? He holds these matches and starts dropping them on her, and he lights them and then holds them in front of her
and then drops it on her lap.
Yeah, and my first thought was, blow out the match as he holds it in front of your face. Instead of, it was just really strange.
But she's shocked and she's scared, and this fire that keeps falling on her lap.
Scary.
And then, what does she suck on? A cinnamon stick or something to kind of calm
she sucks on the match or something. I thought.
think it's a cinnamon stick.
Really? So then, the gentleman...
Neither of those are great options.
No.
Why would...
Well, it's something that she finds, and it's like it calms... I don't know if it's peppermint or cinnamon stick but she sucks on it to kind of
calm down.
Yeah.
Well, then, because then the gentleman friend, Enderman, comes, and he opens the door, and she's all scared because she's been being attacked or whatever. And he says, what are you doing in here? And she says, I'm having a nervous breakdown. It was just, again, I just didn't think, this is so funny. I'm having a nervous breakdown.
Would you like to join me?
Yeah.
That poor lady.
And he says, just explain to me what's going on. And she says, I can't. I just am not allowed.
Yeah.
I can't. The CIA told her not to tell me. Peter is his name.
Okay.
Is the gentleman friend's name. Peter.
Yes.
And Peter, she goes into her room, and then one of the guys is in there.
Yes.
And so she runs around and says, Peter, come help. And Peter goes into the room, and apparently she doesn't know what's going to happen. And she goes in and says, Peter, are you here? And and then he's behind the bed, and the bad guy's gone out the window or something, and he, stands up and says, now you really have to tell me what's going on.
Why is he behind the bed?
He fell over.
There
was a fight. Clearly, the room looks like there's been a fight. A kerfuffle, and he says, all right, you go into my room, and I'm going to go and see what's up, and I'm going to go out the... No, he says, you stay in here.
Yeah, so
right.
lock the door.
Lock the door, and he goes out the window to go find out. And then he jumps between balconies.
Mm-hmm.
And this was some edgy shot work, I think. They did a really good job of filming this. I thought this was very...
Is that a pun?
No.
Edgy?
Because
it's on the edge.
He was walking on the edge of the building.
And see, here's the thing. He jumps between balcony. He goes to the first one, and then he goes to the second one.
Mm-hmm.
He stops in the balcony, and you see through the window, all the bad guys are in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes through the window.
He walks in.
And we find out he's in cahoots with the bad guys!
Yeah.
Ah!
He is after the money, too.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And they said, what were you... He was like, what were you thinking? And they're like... He's like, well, I don't know, whatever. And then he says, stay in here, and I'm gonna go back to the room, and don't do anything else stupid, guys. And she can't find the money, so he's talking to her, and he says, so where's the money? She explains everything.
I don't trust it. I think it's a double.
Where's the money? And then she says, oh wait, well, okay, so she says, where's the money? And she says, I can't find it, Peter. I need your help. And Peter says, okay, I'll help you. And she says, why do people have to tell lies? I just wish they'd tell the truth.
You'll tell me the truth, won't you?
He doesn't say.
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Always.
Not!
Always.
Right?
Sorry.
Okay, so, we find the man who was in her room. That's when we found it out. He's got a hook for a hand.
Yes.
It's horrifying. Not a hook. It's a hook-handed man.
Yes.
It's like one of the old-fashioned clip hooks.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It's not like a Captain Hook, like a...
No.
Like a what?
Yeah, a hook.
So then she tries to tell Mr. She tries to tell Mr. Bartholomew about...
Moving on.
Where am I? Oh, no, the hook-handed man. The hook-handed man calls her on the phone, her room, and says, okay, you need to know the man who you're in the room with, he's against you. He's trying to get the money, and his name is actually something Dial. His last name is Dial. And so then she calls Mr.
Like the soap?
Like the telephone dial.
Oh, okay.
And so then she tries to call the CIA and say, CIA, who's this person? And they're like, we're going to go meet in the market and we'll talk about it. So she makes a break for it and says, she loses him. It's a whole chase scene. And the guy explains the money and so Dial is the 5th member of that crew, and he got killed in the process of getting the money. So there was those 4 guys in the picture, and 5 Dial, and he died.
Yeah.
Her husband.
No.
Dial died.
No. The man who Peter is claiming, or who the hook-handed man is claiming that Peter is.
Yeah.
Is an actual person.
He actually didn't die. That he's coming back. They left him to die in the war. They were all together in this money. That 5th man was killed, quote unquote.
They thought.
But then he came back. It's not him. And this guy is pretending
that he's come back from the war, and that's what he thinks is going on. And they're
so
like,
he's after the money too.
Right, Peter is.
And his real name isn't Peter.
It's something else.
Dial or whatever.
And so they're like, we want you to spy on him for us. So she turns spy, and it's a really good little spy scene where she tries to follow him, and it doesn't quite work out.
Funniness. There's just funniness through the whole thing.
Exactly.
Even though it's dark and
the hook-handed man.
So there's a lot of
Then we'll get now things sort of amp up at this point, and we start the hook-handed man. Oh, there's a lot of I interrupted mother.
No, it's okay.
Mother things to say.
No, there's just these double, who you think is who it is, it isn't, and you keep finding out that it.
They go to the bank. That's right.
The bank.
Not to the bank. To the guy's big job, quote unquote.
Right.
Mr. Dial.
Oh.
Then the hook-handed man quarters him at work, takes him to the top floor after work's closed, and is trying to get him to jump to his death off of the building.
What?
They have a battle because now the other guy, now the hook-handed man hates him and thinks he's out for gonna get double cross them or something.
Yeah. Just need to kill him.
Yeah, and then, but it doesn't work out. They get back to the Dial gets back to the room and is flirting with Mrs. Lambert, the widow, Mrs. Lambert.
Yes.
And then she gets a call that Jean-Louis's been kidnapped and is down the hall.
Yeah.
The child. They go to the room. They figure things out and they say that this isn't going to get us anywhere. I don't know where the money is. So they decide to search each other's rooms.
Oh.
They search each other's rooms, room for room.
Mm-hmm.
They think they find something, and then they realize one of them is missing. It's the hook-handed man, right?
Yeah.
And then they go into
Herman.
Dial's... No, it's Scobie, I think.
Oh, Scobie, yeah.
They go into Dial's bathroom, and Scobie has been drowned.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. And you think that's...
So somebody is killing off
Great.
these
Yeah.
people for the money, and they suspect it's Dial.
Carson Dial.
Carson Dial.
So
But
they
then-
go on a little date, those
Mhm.
two. There's that really funny... There's the scene with the shower.
Yes.
There's like a weird scene where they're talking and they're going to bed and he's gonna shower and she's like I don't and he ends up
Oh yeah, she says, "Well, I wouldn't use your bathroom because that's where
the guy died.
Scobie's
Yeah.
dead."
So why don't you use mine? And then he proceeds to shower with the door open but with his clothing on. And
What?
they have it's like a weird little back and forth. They're having a little chat about
Yeah.
don't
Oh,
you
it's
always do
funny.
this? Oh yes, of course. It says so to
Drip
do. It says
dry.
to drip dry on the tag on the.
What?
It's bizarre. It's wonderful.
Funny.
And
That
then
sounds
they-
like the orange thing.
Then they go on a date on the. But what does she finds out just before that?
Oh yeah, so
Something-
Carson Dial, the CIA guy
Calls
calls
him.
and says Carson Dial is dead.
No, has no brother.
Has no brother.
Because she had confronted him about being Carson Dial. He'd said, "I'm his brother." Turns out, the CIA calls her and is like, "He has no brother." Now she's upset again. Then they are on this boat, and he says, "I have to tell you, you seem upset." And she says, "Carson Dial has no brother." And then he says, "Well, it's because I'm actually Adam Canfield."
He's has 4 different names.
Yeah,
What the
he
heck?
winds up having so many names.
And it's like this in real life. No way would a woman
Yes.
just continue to
They have such
have
a
fallen in
chemistry,
love
mother.
with him, whether he's
Exactly.
Peter or Charles or
Dial or
yeah.
Adam.
They find worse.
Yeah.
Women find weirder.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And so he says that he likes her and that's why he's sticking around.
Mhm.
And
That cheers her up.
then
and
they
there's this
Tex
chemistry.
Oh, that's chemistry, right? Someone dies in the elevator. They think Tex is the third guy, the guy who sneezes a lot, dies in the elevator.
Mhm.
They think then Tex is the bad guy. He's killing people. Tex then calls us Adam and says, "Where's the money? Tell me where the money is." And he says, "Okay, then obviously Tex is the American. Doesn't know where the money is." So they look for the inheritance again. She's like, "I guess I'll go back to my own job." And this was so crazy. She is a translator for the UN.
Yes.
I am taking Arabic right now. And one of the few things I know how to say is I am a translator at the UN.
Ah,
أنا مترجمة في الأمم المتحدة.
wow.
I
So
Fun
yes,
fact.
I don't
yeah.
under. It was so
Wow.
weird. It was such a specific occupation.
And that was what
Yeah.
she said?
That's
No, that's what I said.
Yeah. As a translator, I mean, this is something
She
I
does
guess-
French to English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to say,
That's hilarious.
I don't know-
that it would happen to be.
it happened to be that she's
the
a translator at the UN, which is one of the few occupations I know how to say.
Right.
Anyway, it was wild.
Quirky.
So then,
You mean something else
they
by
figured
that.
out. So she remembers what was in the address book. Oh no! So he comes to her at her job and he says there was something in the bag on the thing
the
that they said that
effects.
was supposed to be in his effects that's missing. It was the
Calendar.
calendar. What was in the calendar? And she says, "Oh, I don't remember." And she says, "Remember." She says, "Oh, and she can't remember, and then he's like, oh, it was the market, and they figure it out, and then, so everyone in the UN can hear what they're saying now, and they have a little freak out, and she says, oh, we're gonna go to the UN now, and we're gonna go figure this out, and then
You mean the CIA?
No, not the UN, they're gonna go to the market, to the playhouse place where they go to the market, the park market, and, Thursday at the garden, so then they go, and they're standing there, and Tex is also there, they see, and they don't really see, he doesn't really see them, they follow him, but he goes to the open air market, and they follow him, and there's this moment when he's, and he sees what's being sold at the open air market, bum-ba-da, 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 and it's like a light bulb, and he books it, and then, Peter goes in, and he sees bum-ba-da, 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 and then he takes off and runs and leaves her at the park because he knows Tex has gone to go get the money. He says, he goes, doesn't even say, he just goes and follows him. And so they go, and you follow them, and they get back, and he opens the door, and there's Tex sitting on the bed, and he laughs, and he's like, she got you good. And he's like, what? Yeah. You know, we know. And he shows him, and the letter that he had addressed to her that had stamps on it, and they're ripped off. And when they were both at the market, they saw all of these stamps that were being sold. It was rare stamps, and they both figured it out, and they went, and the stamps are gone, and they think, he says, oh, she took them, she knows, and he thinks that it didn't double cross. You got back, and she's meeting Sylvie. She meets Sylvie, and she says, oh, hello, did he get, did Jean-Louis get those stamps I gave him? And Jean-Louis is so excited, and she says, oh, yes, where is Jean-Louis? And she says, oh, he's at the stamp market he goes to every weekend.
Oh my gosh!
Yes. And then, so they run into the market to find Jean-Louis before he gives the stamps away.
She figures out.
And she's like, oh my goodness, the money's in the stamps. Yeah. It's wild. And they go in, and they finally find him. And she says, I got all these stamps for just these 3. And it's this whole bag full of stamps. Yeah. When clearly you know. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That much, and they go and they find the stall, and and they go and they find the guy. They go to the man's house who's there. Like, we gotta find those stamps. And it's actually a really heartwarming scene. It is. I don't think this scene would happen in a movie today. Right. Because it's such a kind, and this would have been such a plot point in another movie, but it really, in this movie, it was just such a lovely little scene, because they go into the stamp collector's house, and the stamp collector says,
I was expecting you.
Yeah.
Because he knew these stamps were just
priceless. And he explains to them every single one, and they're really cool. Yeah. Really cool different stamps. And he says, I just, it's enough to have seen them. And he gives them back. And he says, well, what about the ones you gave Jean-Louis? How much for them? And he's, he does the math, and it was
10 francs.
It's my, no problem. And, and they go, and...
But then...
So then she gets back to the apartment. She says, where, I'm going to tell, I figured it out. Where are you? She opens the door. Tex is dead! Yeah. It's he's been, Suffocated with a bag. Oh. It's really alarming.
But he's written...
Oh, yes.
The name...
Dial on the carpet. And of course, that's they believe that he thinks that's Peter. Yeah. And they say, oh my goodness, Peter, who's now Adam, I have Adam here, but Peter, who's now Adam, he did it. And she's so worried, and she says, I gotta call. She calls the CIA and says, I have to tell you, I have the stamps, and she explains everything, and so she runs down the stairs, and Dial shows up, and now he's chasing her, and he's chasing her
down to the Palais.
Mm-hmm. They go to the subway. They go through the subway first, and then they go to the colonnade. It's very dramatic.
It's a high chase.
Oh my goodness. And oh my goodness. They go, and they're in this colonnade, and she's like hiding, and she sees the CIA agent, and she starts going towards him, and he's hiding behind this pillar, and then the other guy, Dial, shows up behind, and he says, wait, wait.
Yeah.
And then, he's Carson Dial!
Right.
And the CIA agent is the actual Carson Dial, he said, he claims. And then, who are you, she says. And he says, you just have to trust me. And he says, that guy, he knows I'm going to shoot him if he tries to get these stamps. And she just says, why is everyone lying to me? I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so dramatic. And they wind up in a theater.
Another chase
Into a theater. And she's hiding, and the CIA agent is dirty, because he's trying to kill her now, and something's wrong. Whatever's happening, something.
Because he explains. Remember, he says,
"Oh, he does.
They left me for dead. They shot me, you know, and they left me, and they deserve to die."
Yeah.
Well then,
so he's the one that's been killing all of his
charming
army pals.
fellow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they're in the theater, and it's a great theater scene. And she's hiding in the orchestra pit, and Peter is underneath, and he manages to pull this lever because it's a stage that lets the trap door down, and they get him. And he gets him, and he's got him. Yeah, he got him. And so she's like, "Well, we have to give this money back to the CIA," and
he's hesitant.
He says, "I don't. Why? We could just go away with this money, couldn't we?" And she says, "No. We can't. Will you at least come with me?" And he says, "Okay." And it's a really great cutscene, actually. Yes. Their dialogue fits perfectly between the night they're having the conversation and the next day when they're walking up to the CIA, to the embassy. Yeah. And they go in, and, he's expecting me, and it's a whole thing, and then he says, "Look, I don't think I can see you giving away that money. Yeah. That's just too painful. Let me just wait out here." And she says, "Okay." So she goes in, and there's a split moment where she goes in through the secretary's room, and then she opens the door, and who's sitting in the chair?
Him.
Yes.
He's Mr. Crookshanks. Yep.
Is he?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And exactly. And she's like, "I am not giving you these stamps until you show me some form of identification." Yes. And they have a lovely little chat, and it's so lovely and great. And the whole there was actually throughout the movie there were this sort of again, is there a Mrs. Dial, or is there a Mrs. Every time he changed his name, is there a Mrs. And he'd always say, "Yes, but we're divorced."
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And then at the end she says, "Is there a Mrs. Crookshanks?" And he says, "Yes." And then she says, "But you're divorced." And he says, "No. Here's a picture. This is my mother."
Oh my gosh.
It's so good. No. It's a good movie. Yeah.
Oh, it ends well.
It ends so well.
He gets the girl, she gets the guy, and he's a good guy.
They solve the mystery.
Yes.
It's fun. I would watch it again. I totally would.
I've watched it, I don't know how many years.
I wasn't sure if I could watch it again, because there's some old movies, some movies where you just watch them once and you're fine, you know? Yeah. And it's sort of like Singing in the Rain for me. I can watch Singing in the Rain 100 times. And it has that way. Yeah. It's rewatchable.
Now, what are you trying to say here?
Well, just, I think it is because of the good acting and the way they've, just set it up. And you love the actors, I mean, if you're an Audrey Hepburn fan, a Cary Grant, I don't know. They have some good chemistry.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first watched the movie, and I was kind of in a big Audrey Hepburn phase, and I think I read one of her biographies or something, and they mentioned this movie, and there's a scene in the elevator where she's looking up at him, and he's trying to be serious with her, and she's like, "How do you shave in there?" Because he has a little cleft in his chin.
He has a little cleft in his chin,
a dent, and that was not planned.
Oh
but they left it in, cause it's just because she was just looking and like,
it's like, how do you
shave in there?
Oh, it's a fun one.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot. Well, it's time to close. Shall we sing a song?
Dun, dun, dun.
How am I still never prepared?
Thank you so much, folks.
Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, thanks for listening. This is a longer one, but it was a good one, and I highly suggest it. It deserves not to get lost in theaters. I think it's losing in theaters, and it deserves a comeback. And we have a Twitter, Ruth. I think the Twitter's dead.
Oh,
but
that was fast.
You feel free to follow us on Twitter if you're a Twitter follower, and
Instagram?
subscribe. No, Instagram.
Oh, okay.
And feel free to subscribe on Spotify if you're listening on Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts, and
Crunch.
and leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts if you have Apple Podcasts. Yes,
Fun.
this has been lovely. All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.